This program contains material and topics that may not be suitable for younger audiences. Viewer discretion is advised.
Good morning, gentlemen. This is Dr. Lisa Davis, who will do a presentation for you on how to keep yourself safe and out of trouble. Dr. Davis.
Thank you. Good morning, guys. So as she just mentioned, there's a movement in Manatee County, and that movement is to really start talking to young people about unwanted pregnancies. Because unfortunately, Manatee County has a really high number of teen pregnancies. So we think that we should start young talking to you guys about sex and responsibility. But specifically, what I want to talk to you guys about is the risk of having sex and the legal ramifications of sexual behavior when you're not legal to engage in sexual behavior. So on this Friday morning, we are actually going to talk a little bit about sex. And so, I know, isn't this great? So, I do want you guys to ask questions. I want to be able to get through what I want you to know. And so as we go through, if you want to ask a question, feel free to do so. Okay? So my first question to all of you guys is, do you understand how old you have to be to have sex? 16, 18, 13. Okay, we got some work to do in here. Okay, so let's try to keep it down. I just want to get some idea of what you know. So for the guy in here who said 18, that is actually correct. For the guy in here who said 16, okay, that is actually the age in which the state of Florida recognizes that you have the ability to consent to some degree. Now, when I say to some degree, that means it's still unlawful. It's just that there's more consideration given to the circumstances of that situation. It's very convoluted. And by the way, just to go back, I want to tell you guys what I do before we get into the nuts and bolts of this. I run an agency in Manatee and Sarasota County called Insight Counseling, and I evaluate every teenager in a 2-county area who get in trouble for sex crimes. Okay? We've been doing this now for 12 years. I've never run out of clients. I don't advertise. Nobody knows I exist until you get in trouble. And then you get to know me very, very well because you spend about a year of your life with me if you're not locked up. So this is what I do. This is what I talk about. So it's very, very important that all of you guys understand the laws that really go with sexual behavior. So let's really break it down between 16 and 18, okay? 18 is legal. When you turn 18 years old, okay, it is legal for you to engage in sexual behavior. Now, whether you're still mature enough and responsible enough is another presentation and another day, okay? But 16 is the age where you're less likely to get in trouble. But here's the caveat to that. There's a reason why I only have boys in here, okay? Anybody want to know why I only have boys in here? What do you think? Okay, someone else. Lockjaw. What? Yeah, okay, close. Girls, I've been doing this, like I said, for 12 years. Ask me how many girls I've had in my program who have been charged with sex crimes. About 4. Ask me how many boys I've had. 8. Over 1,000. Okay? Boys, you are the ones who are going to get charged if there's a situation of sex that is not legal, okay? We're going to talk about that. There's always one in the bunch. Always one. The guy who thinks he's the stud. Oh, I'm sorry. Who wants to tell me all these different things. But we're going to talk about that. Because I have to tell you guys, in my program, star football players, star basketball players, guys who thought they were entitled to do and say and get what they wanted. If you get a felony sex charge, guys, if you get a felony sex charge on your record, it will determine your future. It will have a great impact. And they are very easy to get. So let's talk about what consent means, and then we'll talk about the consequences. Okay? If you are having sex with a girl, and as he said, they like it, okay, but they're not of age, it doesn't matter. Okay? So saying that it's okay to have sex, saying, hey, baby, take me. I want you. I love you. Okay? That is not enough to make it legal. Okay? That's not enough. You guys think, by the way, most guys think that if they agree to it, you're in the clear. And I'm here to tell you that if they agree to it, you are very, very much not in the clear. Okay? Because if they're not at least 16, the law doesn't even recognize their ability to consent. They're not even old enough to say yes. Okay? Everything you do sexually is illegal. Touching. I'm not going to give you a lesson today on private body parts. This is how I talk to my 7-year-olds, by the way. Private body parts. You guys all know what they are when I do education with them. If you are touching a girl on her breast, it is a crime. Okay? If she is touching you, you know where in your special place, it is a crime. Okay? It is a crime, guys, so I need you to know that. Okay? So if it's touching anything else with your private areas, it's a crime. Okay? So now I put the words out there for you. Genitals, butt, and breast. Okay? Buttocks. That's the correct term, believe it or not. Okay? Any touching, anything with those 3 areas is a crime. Okay? Now, let's talk about the consequences. What do you think is the worst thing that can happen to you if you get charged with having sex with a girl underage? What do you think back there in the blue shirt? 10 years of prison. Child molester. Anybody else? Okay. Oh, it has happened, guys. We have guys in this community that have really, really suffered great consequences for consensual sex. I'm going to tell you some of those stories here in a little bit. Felony sex charge on your juvenile record. Okay? And yes, you do have a juvenile record up until 18, possibly 21, depending on what your legal charges look like. Your juvenile charges, your juvenile record, you guys all use this word, it's sealed. Nobody can see it. That is not true. Okay? You will never, ever be able to get into the military with the sex charge on your record. Okay? You will never become an attorney with the sex charge on your record. You will never be able to become a teacher. Okay? People will check your juvenile records. Okay? And there's this little thing that they do so that you have to release them. You have to sign consents for people to look at your records if you want to go into certain fields. If you don't consent, then you're not eligible. So you have to consent. You can't hide it. So you want your juvenile record to be clean. And by the way, every sex charge, even if you touch a girl's breast, okay, excuse me, is considered a felony. You know how we have misdemeanors and we have felonies, and misdemeanors are lesser and felonies are much more serious? Every charge is a felony that involves sex, okay? If you get a felony sex charge, you will no longer attend your school. There's a law that says the victim, okay, can decide if she doesn't feel safe with you and does not want to attend school with you. So if something happens here at Johnson, okay, and then you're both slated to go to the same school in high school, and she says, I don't want to be in school with him, I don't feel safe, he sexually abused me, guess what? You're going to go somewhere else. And after you have that charge, you're going to be automatically expelled from Manatee County schools, and you're going to end up at the alternative schools, okay? So these are some of the things that happen that you don't even realize happen, okay? But I've had guys who were star athletes at school, okay, Lakewood Ranch, Venice, who got in trouble with girls. They thought the girls wanted it, and maybe the girls did. The problem is the next week the guy was with someone else, and she said, well, I'm going to take care of that. I'm going to go tell somebody that something happened and I didn't like it, okay? It has ruined their careers as high school athletes, okay? You guys don't hear these stories, but this is my life, okay? This is what I do. Try to pick up the pieces for these young men who didn't know until it was too late. You can be locked up in a DJJ commitment facility until your 21st birthday, okay? Locked. If you are considered a sex offender, meaning you have a sex charge on your record, you are going to go to a specialized program with only sex offenders. Teen sex offenders, not with adults. So, you are likely, guys, hang on, you are likely not going to be there till your 21st birthday. However, you can be, okay? Because I'll tell you, if they're going to keep you to your 21st birthday, they're probably going to direct file you, and we'll talk about that in a second. But you're more likely, the average sentence for a sex offense is about a year to a year and a half in a locked facility. Then you come back out of that facility, you do counseling with me for a minimum of 9 months. This is mandated by statute, okay? And then you go to a special school, if the schools ever let you back in, and then you maybe can work your way back to high school to graduate. But things happen in 8th grade, 9th grade, 10th grade. Your entire high school career has been altered greatly. You're likely going to end up with a GED somewhere, okay? Back in 2007, we passed this law in the state of Florida called Juvenile Sex Offender Registration. If you are age 14, how many guys in here are 14? Raise your hand. Okay. If you are 14 or older, so that's every guy in here almost, at the time of your sex crime, okay? And it is, by the way, if you have sex, that qualifies as registering for life. 25 years to life, okay? So at the age of 14, if you do something that falls into the category that registers you, okay, which is sexual assault and lewd and lascivious molestation and a couple others, basically penetration type offenses, you will have to register as a juvenile sex offender for 25 years minimum. There's no way to get off for 25 years, so do the math. Okay? You're going to be 39 years old, 40 years old before you can get away from being a registered sex offender. You will not be able to live at home with your siblings because you're a registered sex offender and you can't be around kids. You're a sex offender. Okay? So now think of all this when you think of the next time you want to hook up with that girl who you don't know that well, who's not old enough, you're just out for a good time. 10 minutes. Could cost you the next 25 years of your life. They will put flyers in your neighborhood. They treat you just like adults. I can go on my iPhone right now. I have a little app. It's called Find Sex Offenders Free. I can punch in this area code, or zip code, I'm sorry, and I can find the faces, the addresses, and the charges of all juveniles and adults that have committed a sex charge. Plus you're on the national database and you're on the computer. Okay? That's a reality, okay? That's a reality. I could show you right now guys I've had in my program that are registered 25 years to life, and it ruins their life. They can't get into college. Colleges will not accept registered sex offenders on their campus. And here's the thing. Nobody goes back to ask you, how did you get there? Why are you registered? Nobody cares that when you were 14, you were at a party and you hooked up with a girl who was 13, and you thought it was okay. Nobody cares about that. All they see is that you are a sex offender, okay? And that word alone is something you want to avoid in your life, okay? Did you have a question? Oh, 25 years of life. If for 25 years after you've been given this designation, okay, you don't do anything wrong, you have no more charges, you can petition the courts to be released from sex offender registration status. Okay. However, if at any time you've gotten into any other trouble, they're not going to release you, and it's a lifetime registration. Adults are a lifetime registration. Juveniles, they were nice to you guys, and they said after 25 years, which, by the way, is most of your livelihood, they said after 25 years you can get off. Okay. So it's the law only went into effect in 2007, so we don't know yet how this is going to pan out, where some of these teenagers are going to be in 25 years and if they're going to actually let them off. Okay? Remember when I told you that you could get into a DJJ facility until your 21st birthday? Well, you can also get direct filed in the state of Florida. And direct filed means, okay, that instead of taking you through juvenile, where you go to the detention center and then you go to what we call commitment programs, which, by the way, commitment programs are there to treat you, to rehabilitate you, okay? We want you to change your behavior and come out and be productive. Prison is prison. They don't care. So typically we don't, in this community, they don't direct file anyone under the age of 16, but they can by law. At 14, they can direct file. But a lot of kids, 16, 17, and 18, they get direct filed, okay? One of the reasons is because the juvenile facilities, they really do want you to be out of their programs by your 19th birthday. And if you don't have enough time to go spend to be treated in these long-term programs, you're probably really going to be one they want to look at prison, okay? They can direct file you. So let's go through this. You are 16 years old. You have sex with a 15-year-old girl. She says yes, okay? She's not legal to say yes. Her parents find out. They're going to prosecute you to the fullest extent of the law because they're mad, okay? By the way, if there's any physical harm done while you're having sex with someone, which is easy to do, and that's another story, then that becomes what could be a higher level of felony, okay? You're looking at, have you ever heard the term capital life? Capital life felonies, which sexual assaults can be classified as capital life felonies, depending on the age, is basically life in prison or death penalty. Capital punishment, life, okay? Now, I don't know of anybody who's received the death penalty, but technically you can. But usually that has to be someone over 18 with someone under 12 with a lot of physical harm. But the point of that is that it's very, very easy to get 10 years, 15 years. The statute is 25 years. They typically will mitigate that. I've had guys be sentenced to, I have one kid who was just sentenced to, I don't know how it turned out, but he was eligible for 88 years. He was 18 years old. I've had another guy that I want to talk to you about who did 7 years, okay, for consensual sex, okay? So now let's talk about why it's so easy, because this is the other part. This is why I don't want girls in these presentations. Why it's so easy for you guys to get in trouble. Girls know this information. They get mad at you because they're sweet on you and you're not treating them right. They're going to say things, okay, to get back at you and never really understand how bad it could really be for you, okay? So, let's see here. She goes home. She's had sex with you, okay? And then her parents find out. Honey, did you have sex with Tom? No, Mom. I didn't have sex with Tom. Are you sure? Well, I had sex with him, but I didn't want to. He made me. Do you know how common that is? Think about it. Their butt is on the line. What are they going to do? Are they going to sell you out? Absolutely, they're going to sell you out because they're going to save their own butts. They're like this. I didn't mean to. He made me. I didn't want to. Okay? Now guess what we have? We have coercion and force in the equation. We just bumped up the felony. Okay? But remind yourselves that this could be the same girl that said, baby, I love you, I want you, take me. Okay? Next week, she's not saying that. This is what happens when you're having sex too young. You're not emotionally prepared for what goes with it. You're only thinking about immediate gratification. Okay? But you're talking about lifetime consequences. Lifetime. And these girls have all the power. Once you've had sex with them, they can hold this over your head for a long time. Okay? They want to get back at you later on. And this happens. When you break up with them to date their best friend. That ever happen? Oh, I got a few guys in there going, oh no. Don't worry, guys. They don't know yet. Okay? I'm not saying you can't date these girls and play the field. What I am saying is you can't have sex with them. You can't do sexual things with them. Does that mean you're going to be a dud? I guess. But guess what? You're going to have a life. Okay? The parents find out. How many of you guys text? Ooh, baby. Ooh, baby. Let's hook up. Okay? You think you know all these codes. By the way, I'm doing presentations with the parents, teaching them what to look for. So that's the next part to this. You go to sleep. Your parents pick up your phone. Okay? They see these text messages. It happens. Okay? And they're like, who is this guy? I've had kids in my program. Do you want to know how they were found out? The parents went to the schools and got out the yearbooks. And they started perusing all the yearbooks to find the picture of that kid. So they could go to the police and say, that's him. Because the girl wouldn't give up the name. Adults are smart. They've actually gone to yearbooks to get the names to get you guys prosecuted. Okay? The other thing we have to talk about. Have to. Girls look much older than they are nowadays. They do. Girls are flirtatious too, aren't they? They are. They're flirtatious. I can't help it. But the thing is, guys, ignorance is not a defense in the state of Florida. It's not a defense. It says it right there in the statute, which is the law. Ignorance is not a defense. Which means if you say, well, she told me she was 16. By the way, I've heard this about, I would say, 450 times in my career. She told me she was 16. Okay. She ended up being 12. Okay. She told me she was 16. Guys, it's going to happen. They're going to tell you they're older. As you get older, okay, as you get older and you're 16 and 17, these younger girls are going to want to be with you because you're older and you're cool just because you're older. Okay? Then, once you turn 16, it's really dangerous, I got to tell you. Okay? Because these younger girls want to be with older guys. Okay? And they will lie about their age, and you can't tell. Because if they don't have a driver's license, okay, they're not 16. Your school IDs, I don't think, tell your date of birth. Okay? No.
It doesn't matter.
Well, I have, in my experience, there's 16-year-olds that are still in 8th grade, okay? And there are some girls that are really smart that are 15 and they're getting ready to graduate because they've done accelerated classes. So grades are not, that's not a good example, okay? And a lot of times what they'll say too is, oh, I don't go to your school. I go to a certain high school. And you're like, oh, they're in high school. No, they're not. They're in the elementary school. They lied. Okay? I'm just saying. Okay? This happens, guys. I can't make this stuff up. This is experience that I deal with all the time. Okay? So, the other thing that I wanted to mention to you is the girls don't get charged. I'm sorry. You come up here. I want to tell you something that they look at. Hold on a second. We look at 3 areas too. Like the police, they come out and, they're going to talk about the story, what happened. But they also look at something called Age and Power and Status Dynamics. Okay? So let's say you both are 16 and you both did consent. Okay? Or you're both 18. And she still changed her mind. And you're like, well, I'm in the clear. She's 16. Okay. But it just so happens that, can I borrow you for a second? Yeah, come on up here. It just so happens that your girlfriend, how old are you, by the way? 14. He's 14, I'm 45. Okay? 14, 45. Okay? Thank you, thank you. You're not getting extra credit for complimenting me, but thank you. Okay. He's 14. What? Come here. You come up here too in the pink shirt. How old are you? Oh my golly, he's 13. He's 13. Okay, this is my point. Okay? If we look at age, okay, that's one thing. But what if we just look at power? What if we just look at size? This is a 13-year-old boy. He's bigger than me. This is a 14-year-old boy. He's bigger than me. A lot of those girls out there are smaller, okay? So, do you think, guys, that they're stronger than me? If we started arm wrestling right now, who do you think would win? You. Yeah, no, I wouldn't win, let me tell you. Okay, sit down. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. If we get into a situation where, let's say I'm 16, wouldn't it be nice to be 16 again? No, not really. And I'm with a boy who's bigger than me, and we're the same age, and I get caught, and my parents are mad at me, and I say, well, Mom, what was I supposed to do? He made me. He's bigger than me. That boy and a lot of other guys in here, you automatically have a perception that you're stronger than most of the girls out there, because you are, okay? So that is why girls aren't getting charged, okay? That's one of the reasons. You can't convince the police that she made you when you're twice as strong as her. It goes against logic. Okay? What if she gives you a drug? You might have a case there. Okay? Okay. So, let's review this, okay, guys? Let's review this. You have to both be at least 16, okay? That's the first thing, okay? 18, by the way, is legal. 16 is just you're a little safer. Don't forget that. 18 is the legal age of consent in the state of Florida, okay? It changes by every state, okay? So when you move, you can look that up, but it does change. Hang on, guys. Hang on. Hang on, guys, because I want to take some question. The question was, what if the girl is older than you? Okay? That is what I just pointed out to you. I'm 45, but if I said he forced me, they're going to believe that he forced me because he's bigger and stronger. I'm telling you, that's the way they look at it. So imagine if I were 16. I know it's hard to imagine, but imagine if I were 16. Okay? That's the problem with that. Okay? So you said, what if she drugs you? That was a good question. You cannot give consent in the state of Florida under the influence of drugs or alcohol. So if your game is to get them drunk so they can't tell what you look like, okay, that's automatically a crime. Okay? Automatically a crime, no matter how old you are. Okay. Under the influence, it's all illegal. Okay? They can come back and say, I was under the influence. By the way, the other thing that we look at in the state of Florida is mental capacity. Okay? If it is someone who is low functioning, they cannot legally give consent. Okay? I put this in here just for you guys because I know you like this. Okay? Size matters. But what we're talking about is how big you are. Okay? Size matters. If you are bigger physically than that girl, okay? If you're bigger physically than that girl, the burden of proof is on you. Okay? The burden of proof is on you. So, now, quickly, because I want to talk to you guys about another issue before we leave here, and that's called sexting. Before we leave, I want to ask you guys if you have any questions about this. Do you understand that we don't want you to have unwanted pregnancies, okay? First and foremost, we do not want you to have unwanted pregnancies, okay? Fatherhood is tough. Motherhood is tough. You're not ready for it, okay? You're not really emotionally ready for sex, okay? I know that's hard for you to handle, but that's the truth, okay? So, I always tell you, there's always one stud in the room who wants to debate everything. So, do you guys have any questions about this? Because this is really important information for you to have. Okay? No questions? If you have any questions, you can talk to me afterwards as well. No, just about. Okay, let's talk about sexting. Okay? What is it? When you text about sex. Okay. What about when you send images? Okay, good. You're right. Pictures, sexual material, anything across an electronic device.
Even off the internet?
Off the internet, yes. Okay? Guys, if iPods, okay, that's an electronic device. It does not have to be a phone, so don't be confused by that. You can load up stuff on your iPods, and we all know this, okay? I have a 10-year-old in treatment right now because he was charged with possession of child porn. Okay? 10 years old. Not my kid. No, my kids are good. Come on now. Okay. They know about sex. If you have a picture on your laptop, on your phone, on your iPod of a sexual body part, a private body part, okay? It is a third-degree felony by law, and it falls under possession of child porn. Why? Because as we've talked about before, until you're 18, you're not legal. So pictures of you is still considered pictures of a child, okay? So if you get this is the charge you're going to get. If a girl sends you pictures of herself, okay, and I know it happens both ways, if she sends you pictures of herself, you need to delete it, and you need to ask her not to send it, okay? And please, please, please don't get the crazy idea to send her a picture of you, because once you send it, it's not up to you to delete it anymore. She has it. You don't know what she's going to do with it. If her mother is on her cell phone that night, oh, my gosh, and she is going after you, okay? You will be in court. You will be in front of a judge, and you will be in counseling, okay? Now, I will tell you that as juveniles, luckily, you're not considered sex offenders with this charge, okay? However, if you're 18 and you have pictures of your 15-year-old girlfriend, guess what? You just fell into a registration-eligible offense, and now you could have to register as a sex offender. Because if you're an adult and you have pictures of children, you have to register, okay? 8. Let's get him some counseling, would we? Try not to have naked pictures of your children. Okay, guys, any questions? I gave you, I hope, this morning, a lot of useful information, okay? A lot of things to talk about. Go home and have conversations with your parents about this if you want. Okay, maybe not. Yes. Oh, the cases. Let me tell you a couple cases, guys. Because the other thing I want to show you, hang on real quickly here. I'm terrible at this. FDLE. This is the Florida Sex Offender Perpetrator Network. Okay. This is a real page. Okay. This is where you will end up. I will tell you that on that page right there, and I'm not going to show it because this is being taped, there's a juvenile on that page. Okay. There's a juvenile on that page who is a registered juvenile sex offender. All these other guys, you can go on the pages and see them page after page after page. Okay? Now, I'm going to tell you the story. I've had lots of stories, but one of the stories that probably would resonate the most with you guys, I had a kid come into counseling with me when he was 14 years old because he had done some unwanted touching, and he was charged with lewd and lascivious molestation. So he went to counseling with me for a year. Okay, he went on to Southeast High School. My biggest concern for him, he was a good-looking kid, by the way. Cute. The girls just thought he was a doll. He always thought he was kind of a stud. Color doesn't matter. And so the thing is that when he was a senior at Southeast High School, he hooked up with a freshman. And that freshman was his girlfriend. He was 17, she was 15. They got into a relationship. They were having sex, okay? Her parents found out, wanted to prosecute him. The girl never, ever would testify against him. She said, I love him. I don't want anything to happen to him, okay? Well, it didn't matter because she was 15. So nobody cares what she thinks as far as that goes of giving consent because she's not legal to give consent. The parents prosecuted him, okay? We could pull him up right now. He's still registered to this day. By the way, this happened in 2003. He did 7 years in prison. 7 years in prison. By the way, that was a negotiated plea, 7 years, because he was looking at 25. Okay? 7 years in prison for having consensual relationship with his freshman girlfriend when he was a senior at Southeast High School. Okay? This stuff happens. You don't hear about it, but trust me, it is happening. Okay? Yeah, that's fine.
So,
go ahead.
If he wasn't a senior, if both of them were freshmen and she said that I love him and
She probably would have been, probably would have been committed because he's still too young. He wouldn't have gone to prison. Most likely he would have gone to a juvenile commitment facility. Yes? I don't know. My guess is no. Did they ever get back together? I'm done with that. If you're under the age of 16, you don't have a legal say. Your parents can prosecute. That's what I'm trying to say to you. If you're under the age of 16, which is every guy in this room, I think, okay, and every girl on this campus, okay, the charges can come from parents. It doesn't have to be what you want. That's what I'm saying, okay? Any legal guardian. Yes, one more question. I'm going to let you guys go because I think we're running over. Yes? If she was 16, he probably wouldn't have been in that situation, okay? If she was 16 and said, I was willing, he probably wouldn't have been prosecuted. Yes? What if the girl blackmails you? Don't give her reason to blackmail you. Okay. Yes? Oh, the other thing, when we talk about pregnancy, my colleague's back there telling me the things I tell the other kids. She wants to make sure you get everything, okay? The other issue is if you have a baby with a girl, okay, what does that produce? Child support, yes, it does produce child support. But from a legal standpoint, we're going to talk about DNA. The biggest slam dunk case in the world for a prosecutor is if there's a baby, because that is DNA proof that you had sex with that girl, okay? So if you get a girl pregnant who's under the age of consent, okay, that baby becomes a way to prove that you broke the law. And you can get prosecuted. And by the way, this is how a lot of guys get caught. When girls get pregnant, okay, and the parents are like, who's the father? And when that baby comes, they do a DNA test, and they have lots of years to go back after you, by the way, for these legal charges. It's not like next week. They can do it for years, okay? And so that baby becomes DNA evidence, proof that you had sex with that girl. And guess what? That is a slam dunk case to get you prosecuted, okay? So those things are very, very important. Now, raise your hand if you learned at least 3 new things today. Okay, good enough. If you don't have any more questions, I appreciate you guys because you were very good today. Thank you so much. Go out there, be sexually safe and responsible.